Everyone, so we're reading here from eWrestlingNews.com. The Wyatt Six have not wrestled in WWE since December and have been absent from TV since they were moved to SmackDown earlier this year. Fightful Select is reporting that the reason the Wyatt Six have not appeared on television is because Uncle Howdy, Bo Dallas, was not cleared to compete, but he is now cleared. There have been talks about the group's return, but WWE is waiting until the time is right to bring them back. However, it is also added that the Wyatt Six will not be returning anytime soon. So, yeah, I think this is a good idea by WWE. You know, the Wyatt Six, everything that happened, obviously, you had injuries, you had other things, but I don't necessarily think that it has gone as planned to this point. And I actually think it is a good idea. You know, I like these type of factions, but WWE is looking at it and going, you know what? Let's run this thing back. You know, let's do this thing again because clearly this just hasn't, worked out the way we want it to. And I don't think there's anything, wrong with that either. But I think once you already have them like they have right now, once you kind of already have them at this point where they're already sitting out, you might as well wait for the perfect time. You know, there's no need to rush them back just to have them do matches. When you do bring them back, make it for a really, really, really big reason, and make it so that when fans are watching it, they're like, this is the kind of Wyatt Six we wanted. So hopefully that's where they're heading with this. But that is an update on the Wyatt Six and why they have not returned yet. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time. All right, everyone. So initial reports claimed that Hulk Hogan's Real American Suite package for WrestleMania was removed. Wrestling Headlines updated their article saying, update, the link to Hogan's on location page has been added back for the time being. Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling has filed a trademark for the Real Canadian Beer. The trademark was filed on March 22nd, 2025. You can check out the official trademark description below. Beer, ale, lager, stout, and porter, malt beers, non-alcoholic beers, flavored beers. As many of you know by now, Hulk Hogan has a beer brand called Real American Beer. Okay. So the point here is that initially it was taken down, it looks like, and now it's back up, and they've already slashed the price. But we've talked about this for a while. Look, it's just the problem here is everybody can kind of see that everything Hogan's doing with WWE is all promotional, and people just aren't buying that. You know, when Undertaker comes back, he's not doing something that is promotional. When Undertaker comes back, he's doing something that helps the product. One thing Hogan was doing was selling his beer. And it's so easy to not have a segment like that. It's so easy to have Hogan come out and just have a shirt on, and still be a part of the storyline. But it looks like to me that certainly WWE and Hulk Hogan, how much Hogan's actually going to be on any WWE TV for the time being. And I don't know how long this may be. It could be forever. I doubt it's going to be a lot. It just, unless he's going to be playing a heel character, to me, there's really not much that Hogan's going to be doing. So thank you all for watching. All right, everyone, we're reading here from Ringside News. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select weighed in during a recent Q&A session, offering insight on Graves' current status in the company. When asked whether McAfee would be making the upcoming trip to Glasgow or London and what Graves' future looked like, Sapp dropped this key update. I have not heard about McAfee, but Graves is supposed to be the go-to slide him in guy, and there was a lot of people there that thought that eventually that would just lead to him being back on Raw or SmackDown. So we obviously know that this article was before that Raw that McAfee was there, but this is what I've been saying about Corey Graves for some time, and one of the reasons I was kind of pretty critical when all that stuff went down is Corey Graves does a great job. All he has to do, I understand it could be frustrating, maybe he feels like he's getting moved around and he's not doing what he should be doing. He's not on the main show, but he just has to wait. He just has to wait and he'll be back there. It's like McAfee wasn't there. They slid Corey Graves right in there. Perfect, right? You just have to sometimes, even if you're disappointed, you just have to stick it through. You just have to stick it through, be a good soldier for the company, and in the end, it will pay you back. Because what he did clearly, WWE didn't find any sort of humor in. He came out and said that, oh, I was just kind of being. It was supposed to be, basically a storyline thing, which everybody kind of knew that wasn't. He was mad, and maybe he had a reason to be bad, but the way he handled it, I think, did him, a lot of harm. Luckily, it looks like WWE is from the viewpoint now that it's like, we don't care that much. This is fine, whatever. He made a mistake. He owned up to it. Now we're going to move on and not have this affect him too much. And I think that's pretty good, right? That's pretty good. So thank you all for watching. All right, everyone. So we're reading here from Russell Talk. Speaking to the Daily Star, McIntyre was asked about potentially facing Priest at WrestleMania 41, as seems to be WWE's creative direction at present. While he called for fans to give the angle between him a chance, the Scottish Warrior admitted that he's pissed off not to be booked in a title match at the event in Las Vegas, given how successful a 2024 he has had. We've still got 6 weeks until Mania, and anything can change in that time. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't pissed off at not being in one of the title matches after the 2024 I had, but it's just because I'm so highly competitive, and sometimes, there's only a few spots. I appreciated when the fans' reaction was, "Oh my goodness, it's Priest and Drew. There's nothing there." I'm like, bloody hell, give us a chance to tell the story. The thing with Priest has been going on since last year's WrestleMania when he cashed in on me after I was assaulted by Punk. He doesn't know how to succeed unless it's at my expense. Elimination Chamber, I Claymore Cena. Instead of going, I'll let Drew pin Cena first, he eliminates me. It's the only way he knows how to succeed because he is a vulture, a parasite, a big emo vulture. Finally, he's got my attention because they've got nothing else. I stomped him in his big stupid head last week, and if he wants to keep coming back for more, if it goes all the way to Mania, it's a year in the making story, and he deserves the biggest stage of all to get his stupid looking arse kicked. So this is an interesting just interesting set of comments he makes because there's two things here. Number one, this interview is complete kayfabe, obviously, right? So for the sake of this interview, he's not necessarily really upset, right? As what he's saying here, this is all fine. But what we do know is that he does feel this way. He does feel this way. So, you know, even though it's one of those things where reality is matching the storyline. So now he's trying to build this storyline, but he's actually behind the scenes just frustrated, right? He is not happy with how things are going. And we saw it when he stormed out during the Rumble because he's like, man, we were trying to build all this other stuff. And it just, there was the thing with LA Knight that turned into a thing. So he's actually mad about this, but he's using it to tell this story. So I feel for Drew. I mean, I really do because I think he's that guy who's always putting in good matches. He's putting on good storylines, but he's just always kind of the last guy left out. There's just always someone that's kind of taking some of the spots he thinks that he should have. And I would love to see him go ahead and say, you know what, I'm pissed about this. I'm gonna use this as my kind of character moving forward. So thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time. Right, everyone. So Goldberg was honored that Triple H called him about his retire match. Here's what he said: I was lucky enough one day to be on my tractor here on the property cutting the grass, and I get a phone call from Triple H. I was astonished. I hung up the first time because I didn't know who it was. Once we had the conversation, I was extremely appreciative and honored that he would think of me. It was an interview that I did that he saw where I said I thought I was owed a retirement match and if I would still be up for that, and maybe let's talk. It's a testament to something I did in the past because I deserve that kind of respect. We all know it's a business decision at the end of the day. To what degree, nobody knows. I do believe that he was speaking from the heart, and he thought if it's something that I wanted, that I deserve it. It took them that long to call me. I wasn't going to beg for it. I don't work like that. If I had to go down like that, I went down in Saudi. Then so be it. So to me, the major takeaway here of this whole thing is that Triple H is in tune to what's happening in the same stories you're seeing on this channel or on any wrestling channel or on any wrestling website. Triple H kind of has his ear to the ground on it. And I say that in a good way because sometimes when you have a company, especially the size of WWE, the people running the show are a little bit disconnected from the fan base. They're disconnected from what people are talking about. And the fact that he saw this interview, saw that Goldberg wanted to do it, and then calls and says, you know what, this is a good idea. Let's try to get it done. That's exactly how we want our companies to operate. How many videos have we done on, hey, I'd like to see the Hardy Boys return or do these matches, do that match? And it ends up kind of coming true, right? And obviously that's not because of our channel, right? We're sourcing a bigger media outlet anyways. But what I'm saying is that he's seeing the same stuff that we are, right? He's seeing the same things that the fan base is, and that's key. That's really key. So a Goldberg retirement match is perfect because it gives you um, it gives you a match on whatever pay-per-view they decide to do it on, in which you have a main event style match that's not in the main event and not for a championship, unless I guess in this case it ended up being for a championship. My guess is it won't be for a championship. And that's really, really good, right? That's really, really good. It just makes the card huge. It really, really does. So thank you all for watching, and we will see you next time. But everyone, so Ric Flair talked to TMZ Sports about John Cena's heel turn. Here's what he said. I love it. I tell y'all, I think it's the coolest thing they could have done. I think it's great. A matter of fact, I was hoping he was going to win the Royal Rumble. I mean, that was a great finish there too, you know? So I'm excited for him. Now, this is a little bit different than the initial response he had to the heel turn, where obviously he was kind of kayfabe a little bit, but he was, attacking Cena in a way. But I like this aspect of it. I like how everybody's kind of getting involved. And I think it's interesting because when you look at what we've seen so far, it's kind of all been positive. People are loving seeing this heel turn. WWE pulled off a shocking thing that took this Cody Rhodes Cena match from being something about breaking the record to like the stratosphere, right? This made it the must see match at WrestleMania, and that's exactly what it needed to be. So I love how they've found a way to keep Cody's storylines. Like, last year finishing the story, that was a big storyline. That was 2 years in the making, right? What they did. And yet somehow I feel like they kind of got one that's almost bigger this year. I mean, they're really doing a good job at telling the story. They shocked everybody having Cena turn heel, and now seen as a threat to not just Cody but to the entire WWE. Right? He's going to retire with the belt and screw over the WWE universe and WWE itself. So they're continuing to add this, and I think this rivalry has legs. Now I don't know. I shouldn't say this rivalry has legs. What I should say is this storyline has legs, because I think what they're going to end up doing is, they'll spoiler here. I think Cena's going to win, and they're going to continue to have him, kind of pushing this narrative and let him have a little bit of a title run at the end. So WWE has booked this phenomenal so far. I would have never in a million years thought anything we've seen so far with John Cena in this farewell tour would have happened, and that makes it all the better because I think they're doing everything that we would have wanted to see. That's the bottom line. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time. All right, everyone, we're reading here from WrestlingNews.co. This week's episode of WWE Raw continued the build towards WrestleMania 41 and featured some solid matches. One match on the card was El Grande Americano, in which Chad Gable, under a mask, continues to find out how to be a Lucha Libre star, taking on Dragon Lee. In the match, Lee's mask is removed, and Gable locks in the ankle lock for the win. On a recent edition of Sportskeeda's Backstage Pass Q&A, WrestleVotes noted that the match received heavy praise backstage. I did hear there was some heavy praise coming out of that match last night. Gable and Dragon Lee killed it. Crowd loved it. People backstage loved it, and that's no surprise. Chad Gable has been getting this for years, and we know what kind of talent Dragon Lee has, so good on both of them. But I did hear that there was some heavy praise backstage for those two men. So it seems to me like you have this Chad Gable, Dragon Lee, Penta. You go down the list of people in the WWE that are in mid card that are constantly getting this kind of praise for these good matches. Specifically, Chad Gable. Every time he's in a segment, it gets praise. I mean, this guy really can deliver a good match in the ring. And I hope WWE builds not just Dragon Lee, not just Penta, but also Chad Gable. I hope they build these guys properly, and I hope they give them a chance to, Chad Gable has his American made faction. Let that be something, give these guys titles. Because Chad Gable's phenomenal and he deserves it. I really believe that. It seems like every time I do a video with Chad Gable, it's something over this. It's something, oh, he put on a match that wasn't in the main event. It was just another match on the card, and yet it was one of the best out there. And he's always delivering in a big way. So shout out to him and shout out to Dragon Lee. If they can continue, this is Attitude Era. You had this in WCW, you had this in WWE. The importance of a mid card is just, it can't be overstated. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time. All right, everyone. So Eric Bischoff talked about this stipulation in a WrestleMania 41 match. He is not happy with it. Here's what he said. How would they benefit from being in the ring with each other from a perception point of view? Short answer is they're not. They won't, because we're already at such a high level. Roman Reigns is going to become more over as a result of being in this match, unless there's some kind of wacky important finish. Is Rollins? Is Punk? No, they are not going to benefit from this trifecta. My opinion is it's a cop-out. Unless there are three really good stories that need to collide in the ring in order to come to an end, it's just an attraction. It's an excuse to get big names in the ring so you get headlines, unless there's a reason for it. If you can't tell me why they are all in the ring and why it should be a main event, then it shouldn't be a main event. So there's a few things. Number one, I think he is right here with the sense that this is just, hey, let's just put all these big names in here. I mean, that's it, right? I mean, there's individually good rivalries like a CM Punk Seth Rollins, and then Roman Reigns Seth Rollins, and then Roman Reigns Punk. There are those type of rivalries that are good on their own, but it is a little bit weird having them in a triple threat. But I think what's being missed here is, unless there's some major twist that's coming, I don't think this is going to be the main event. You really have your two championship matches; those are going to be the main event. Because like I said, I think unless there is a major twist coming, I do not think that this will be the main event of night one. I just, unless there's like, there has to be a major twist, because WWE is going to want that moment of, if Jey Uso does end up winning, they're going to want that championship moment for him. And obviously, it's not going to take the place of Cena Cody. So this really isn't going to be a main event. But there's not much else they could have done. What else were they supposed to do as it pertains to having these feuds, especially when, The Rock could have been someone that Roman was facing, or Seth Rollins was facing, or something like that. But if he's not going to be fighting at WrestleMania and he's involved in the Cena storyline with Cody Rhodes, it just doesn't, there was nowhere to put these guys, and you can't not have them at WrestleMania. So I don't really blame WWE for this. I think it was a situation where they went, we need these three guys here. We can make it make somewhat sense as to why all three hate each other and will be in a triple threat match. And you're just going to watch a really good WrestleMania match. But this is not really the main event. The main event is Jey Uso, Gunther, and Cody Cena, in my opinion. So thank you all for watching.